Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Rob here, nice to see you. Yes it is, so in today's video we're going to be discussing Gigantamax Venusaur now that it's officially in the game, and it will be legal to use in competitive doubles coming July 1st I believe. So firstly, let's have a look at its abilities. It has the standard Overgrow ability. When its HP is below 1/3, its power of grass type moves are increased by 50%. Whilst not a bad ability by any means, its better ability is Chlorophyll. When sunny, the Pokemon speed is doubled. Absolutely amazing ability, especially for a Pokemon like Venusaur that's quite bulky. Has access to great moves and a pretty decent speed tier as well. But yeah, definitely the better ability there. So have a look at its weaknesses. So it's weak to fire, ice, flying, psychic as well. Otherwise, it's got quite a lot of neutrals. It's resists fairy, water of course, fighting, which is pretty common, and electric as well. Right, let's have a look at some notable moves. It's got Leech Seed. I don't think there's too much use for Leech Seed. The biggest one I think is probably going to be Sleep Powder. That's very nice on a Pokemon like Venusaur that has its speed doubled. I mean, Synesis adds recovery, also heals more HP when it's sunny. Solar Beam, strong max move. Also, it doesn't have to recharge in the sun, which is sometimes handy, I guess. Personally, I prefer Leaf Storm. Protect, pretty standard. Light Screen. Does have access to Sunny Day. Also has access to Helping Hand. As well as Weather Ball. In the sun, this will turn into a Fire type move, which grants Venusaur a nice coverage option against other Grass type Pokemon, such as the returning Amoonguss. Stomping Task, a physical type move. Sludge Bomb, great stab move. Earth Power, great coverage move. There's Leaf Storm. In terms of egg moves, we've got obviously not really a lot of egg moves wise, to be honest with you. You've got Toxic, not very relevant knowing doubles. You have got Frenzy Plant as well, also turns into an extremely strong max move. I've got a feeling, let's just check Leaf Storm. I'm pretty sure Leaf Storm also turns into Leaf Storm turns into 140 base power move. Frenzy Plant does turn into a 150, I believe. Let's just double check that. Yes. So you could use Frenzy Plant over Leaf Storm on Gigantamax Venusaur. That is an option. In terms of new tutor moves, it has Grassy Glide, which is a physical type move. So I don't think you're going to be using that on Venusaur, to be honest with you. It does have Terran Pulse though. Terran Pulse, basically this gives Venusaur the option of having psychic coverage, fairy coverage, and electric coverage. Yeah, I don't really think that's too much of a useful move for Venusaur. I could be wrong though. The meta is still extremely new, especially when we're not even updated with the rules yet. We're still using the pre-DLC rules. Its max move, G-Max Venusaur, a grass type attack that Gigantamax Venusaur uses. This move continues to deal damage to opponents for 4 turns. So basically, this is like Charizard's max moves. It will do damage for 4 turns to all opposing Pokemon that are on the field, unless you're a grass type. Otherwise, it doesn't affect grass types. It also has access to max ooze to boost its special attack. Right, stat-wise, they're quite nice and evenly distributed. 80 HP, 82 base attack, 83 base defense, 100 base special attack, which is pretty nice, 100 special defense, also nice, and 80 speed, which is not bad at all. Overall, though, Venusaur is nice and solid. It's well-rounded. Personally, a little bit more HP or defense over attack, I think, would have done it wonders, but I'm not going to complain. That's a great EV spread. I think G-Max Venusaur also looks pretty solid. I really like its design, not going to lie. Right, so let's go into Pokemon Showdown Team Builder. Unfortunately, they have currently not got the actual sprite yet for G-Max Venusaur, so there's nothing there. This is a very standard Venusaur set. This typical Venusaur set can work outside of Dynamax. Even though this is a video about Gigantamax Venusaur, we all know how good Venusaur is with wide lens and sleep powder, boosted in the sun. It's absolutely amazing. Very simple moveset: Leaf Storm, Sleep Power, Sludge Bomb, Earth Power. Sleep Powder does turn into Max Guard when it's Gigantamaxed. Pretty simple EV spread, max special attack and speed, make it as fast as possible outside the sun, because base 80 is not a bad speed tier in this format. Ability of choice is always going to be Chlorophyll. But yeah, that's a very standard Venusaur set there. The next set is going to be more focused at purely Gigantamax Venusaur. We've got a Life Orb as the item of choice. You could use Expert Belt if you wanted to. Chlorophyll would always be the ability of choice. In terms of nature, we've got Modest. Now, there's a few ways you could do this. 212 EVs allows Venusaur to outspeed Inteleon after a +1. So if you don't have the sun up, I'll just make this very clear. This spread is for when Venusaur is not in the sun. So if you're partnered with a Pokemon that has access to max airstream, such as Togekiss, which most people carry on their team, you can use Togekiss's max airstream to boost Venusaur's speed to +1. Otherwise, Venusaur pretty much outspeeds most Pokemon inside the sun. If you were purely using this on a very hard sun team, you can easily change this EV spread. You could give it 52 speed EVs. This now outspeeds Dragapult in the sun, which is a nice easy spread there. And you can put the rest over in HP, make it as bulky as possible. Personally, I think this is probably the more decent set for a Pokemon that you're going to focus on Gigantamaxing. So you're going to want to have that sun up, whether it's set manually or via ability. So personally, I think this is a really nice spread. It adds a lot of bulk to Venusaur. It also makes it extremely fast. In terms of moves, we've got Leaf Storm, a very strong max move. You could put Frenzy Plant for a slightly stronger one. Although Leaf Storm is slightly better, is obviously better outside of Gigantamax. You've got Sludge Bomb. This also boosts Venusaur's special attack, and as well as its partners. So if you have got something like Togekiss, that's really good. Earth Power is great coverage. It can now, a lot of them fire types that really threaten Venusaur. Obviously, it can't touch Charizard with Earth Power, but the option is there. It's a great coverage. It helps boost special defense as well. Lastly, I've got Weather Ball here. This actually turns into a fire type move, and with Pokemon like Amoonguss now back in the game, you're going to have to watch out for Amoongus's Rage Power redirecting those moves that Venusaur is firing off. So if you could fire off a Max Flare from Venusaur, obviously Under the Sun Weather Ball turns into a fire type move, which translates into Max Flare, I believe. That's how it worked previously, I do think. So this would absolutely nail Amoonguss, which I'm pretty sure is going to be a very popular Pokemon in the metagame. Other moves, though, you could, in theory, put Terran Pulse. It gives Venusaur an electric type coverage for Pokemon like Charizard, although I think that's a little bit niche and I don't really think that's worrying about. Otherwise, Venusaur does run a very standard set. There's a few ways to run it, but all its EV spread and stats, they're all very basic. It has great moves, and they're all worth using. If you didn't want to put Weather Ball, you could put Sleep Powder, or you could put it over Earth Power, entirely up to you. Again, Sleep Powder does turn into Max Guard when it's maxed, so very helpful there. In terms of partner, we've got Torkoal here. Probably the best weather setter in the game. It's extremely slow. It's actually the slowest weather setter in the game. So if you're seeing someone who is also carrying weather, such as a Rain Team with Politoed or Pelipper, or Tyranitar with Gigalith or Hippodon, or Bombless Snow, Alola Ninetales, any of those, Torkoal is slower than all of them. So in two people leading their weather, Torkoal is always going to win that war, which is absolutely amazing. Not only that, Torkoal is a great Pokemon. It's a great Pokemon for anti-Trick Room. If they set up Trick Room, you know you've got your Torkoal in the back ready. You're going to be firing off some crazy eruptions. Torkoal also has access to a new move called Scorching Sands, which is a ground-type special move. So it does compete with Earth Power. That is, whilst 90 base power and has 10% chance of low special defense, Scorching Sands actually has 70 base power, but 30% chance to burn the target, which is really nice tech there. It's a bit like a ground type Scald. There's a few ways you could run Torkoal. This is a very basic set. You could put Solar Beam over Protect. You could also put over Heat Wave or Eruption if you really wanted to. You could also do a very physically bulky set with max defense and put Body Press on there. Personally, this is a set that I quite like the look of. Scorching Sands is a very interesting move. And with Politoed returning to the metagame as well as Kingdra, I think Rain's going to be very sortly used. So I think you're going to see a lot of Rain. Which is whilst the other weather setter that brings out Sun is Ninetales. I don't think is going to be as popular now because it is quite fast. It is 100 base speed and it's one of the faster weather setters in the game, if not the fastest weather setter actually, which means Politoed, outside of Choice Scarf of course, Pelipper, Tyranitar, Gigalith, Hippodon, they're all going to be winning weather wars if you happen to lead them both at the same time. But otherwise, Ninetales is still a good Pokemon. This is a very simple set, max special attack and speed, timid nature with a focus sash. It's also got the ability to draw, of course. For moves wise, I've got Heat Wave, the newly added Scorching Sands, which I think is really cool, and Solar Beam. You could replace Solar Beam with Energy Ball, or you could put it Will-O-Wisp. It also makes a very nice fast Will-O-Wisp user there. And you could also add Hypnosis as well, because Ninetales does get Hypnosis, which is great for firing off blind Hypnosis to put something to sleep. Putting something to sleep will really change your game for you. In terms of weaknesses, again, Venusaur is weak to grass types, so I think a Pokemon like Rotom, no, sorry, not weak to grass types, it's weak to flying types, which is why I think Pokemon like Rotom is a really important partner here. This is a very basic, bulky, nasty plot set with Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Dark Pulse, and Nasty Plot. You could replace Dark Pulse with Protect if you wanted to. After a +1, this does outspeed Cinderace. You know, if you do have that max Airstream support. We have Pokemon like Talonflame back in the game now as well. And Talonflame has that priority flying type moves such as Brave Bird and whatnot, which are very strong, and obviously Venusaur does not like them. It doesn't want to be taking priority max Airstreams, so a Pokemon like Rotom really does wall Talonflame pretty hard, and Talonflame being back in the game is going to be a huge problem for Venusaur, which is why I think Rotom is a nice addition to this team. I also think Togekiss is as well, but we have covered Togekiss before, so I've not built any sets around it. It's very standard Crit Kiss or bulky, depending on how you want to run Togekiss. Next, let's go over to Pikalytics and have a look and see how other people are using Venusaur. Right, so it's ranked monthly number 16, so it's got very high usage. Typical moves are Sludge Bomb, Sleep Powder, Earth Power, and Protect. Leaf Storm is there as well. Energy Ball, Giga Drain, Frenzy Plant. In terms of teammates, we have Torkoal, very standard, Dusclops, Charizard. Again, yep, Charizard also makes a great teammate because it takes advantage of sunny weather. So there is that. Togekiss there, Tyranitar, Dragapult, Conkeldurr, Rhyperior, Incineroar, and Rotom Wash. In terms of items, people are mostly using Life Orb, White Lens, or Focus Sash. A little bit of Expert Belt down there, as well as Weakness Policy. The ability of choice is Chlorophyll most of the time. Well, actually 90% of the time. 97% of the time. In terms of spreads, Timid and Modest seem to be the most preferred nature. Again, this one is obviously more of a very fast as possible Venusaur. This one's more of a bulky, Venusaur that's got a bit of oomph behind it as well, running a Modest nature. Otherwise, most of the natures that seem to be pretty similar, as well as EV spreads. Right, let's go over to Babry.net and see what sort of teams Venusaur's been used on. So as you can see, we've got a very hard Suncore here, Charizard and Venusaur, Torkoal. There's Torkoal as well, get on that one. More Torkoal. Oh, we've got Porygon 2 there, which is cool. And Torkoal. No Torkoal on this one though. Rotom Wash there. Lots of Togekiss as well. More Torkoal. I guess that's supposed to be Urshifu, I would imagine. Talonflame can also set up some with Max Flare. More Torkoal. So as you can see, mostly Torkoal were actually partnered here, which is quite interesting. Right, so I think that pretty much covers Venusaur, to be honest with you. Of course, the metagame hasn't fully changed yet. We do have till July 1st to still play under the normal rules. So Venusaur isn't quite legal yet, but it will be in a couple of weeks, if not less. But it has some very solid moves. I mean, some people in the past have run a physical one. I think it does learn Sword Stance. Personally, I don't think that's a good choice. Special sets are definitely the way to go. But yeah, I really like G-Max Venusaur. I really like its design. I would love to give it a go at some point. I think it's going to be a huge threat in the competitive doubles. I think it's going to be one of the most used Pokemon. Having a G-Max move exactly the same as Charizard's, but grass type, it's absolutely going to be great. Of course, it can't set up its grassy terrain compared to Dynamax form, but personally, I'd rather have the passive damage, to be honest with you. I think Venusaur is going to be a great Pokemon in the metagame, and I highly recommend using it and giving it a go. If you found any other ways to use a G-Max Venusaur, and if you've been planning a strategy around it, have you built a team around G-Max Venusaur that you plan to use on July 1st, let me know. You know, again, this video is just a guide to help you use Gigantamax Venusaur in competitive doubles. I have no idea if it's good or not in singles. That's a completely different story. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. It goes a long way. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing as well. Until next time, though, I will see you all later. Rob out.